And turn on audio.
Okay, how are we doing? Are we on?
I think so.
Are we on live?
Yep. We are. It just
So-
takes a little bit to show up.
Shona Ray Studios here in C-Space King Edward, Calgary, Canada. And we are here doing a series called Converse, Subversives, and I'm sharing my techniques and concepts and knowledge about art and a little bit about the people in our community with everyone in the world. And before we begin episode 8 today, International Women's Day, we would like to acknowledge, in the spirit of reconciliation, that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all the people, Indigenous and non, who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. What was that you said I should say as well?
Land back.
Land back. Yeah, that sounds good. So here we go. Episode 8 just happened to fall on International Women's Day. So we've got some interesting perspectives in the art world to share with you today. To start with, we're going to start with, we should do this first, Karen Scarlett. We have her coming today, and so we've got a few little images to tease you with before she gets here. And yes,
Great.
so whatever they tell me they are, I make them extraordinaire, because I believe in that word. Karen grew up fifth generation on the family dairy farm west of Innisfail, Alberta, and she has made her art her entire life. The queens of the dairy held a royal spot on the farm and took up much of the energy of the Scarlett family existence, and it was a great life. Creating has been a lifelong adventure and an important part of life for Karen. Art was practiced with Grandma Scarlett, where she learned an important lesson: try everything. A love of power tools and creative design were honed with her dad, while handcraft sewing and creating with a sense of perfection were inspired by her mom. You can find Karen's work in private, corporate, and commercial collections across North America. And I didn't make them loop. I didn't make so you can fix that maybe for us when?
Yeah.
Can you make those media sources loop?
I can't do that right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, today we don't have them looping, kids. We just get one shot. That's all we get to see them for. So that's Karen Scarlett. She's been working with the Calgary Women's Center this year, and I really don't have any details about that, so she's going to share them with us. And so let's update thread shoes. I managed to finish carving the hands. I did some other work too, but I'm only going to share the hands with you today. So we have a little video from the red shoes, and we can just show it. And there I am. You've probably seen this before if you've seen other episodes of me drawing, but I really just want you to know I spend hours doing this, but I try and get it down to a 3-minute video. That's my goal. So hours of footage, 3 minutes. So that was when I first started filming myself carving, but now I've learned to work up on a bigger block, and I start by shaping. I use my shaping tool to cut in the fingers as well, and yeah, it's really important. Now I'm taking my tumbler bit and getting even more of that detail carved in there. Basically, when you're carving, you're shaping then you're carving in detail, and then you're grinding away material again, and then putting in more detail. You see all those bits there in front of me? At some point or another, I will have probably used all of them. But you don't want to watch me carve for hours, so I try and keep it down to a dull roar here. Mostly on the hands to finish them. Steffi did the one, so I was just matching up the second one to finish to show the process for you. And Steffi did the one, and I guess that's it. I used all those bits, and in 3 minutes, I really spent 2 hours doing that. It's not that long, and I just love carving. It's just such a wonderful process. So it's something, so here, let's go to camera 2, and I'll show you the little hands. And at the very end, I textured them with kind of fur, and next time you see them, they'll be painted, so I'll probably do a demo on that as well. So there's the wee hands, and we've got a wee foot, and the shoes are in progress. The hair is coming along nicely. Like, what am I thinking? I started out thinking, I'll put a few pieces of hair in. I think I'm up to about 75 or 80 pieces now. Every single one has to be filed to a tip on each end, cut in half. Then a little saw mark has to go in there, and then they have to be pried open to make tab rivets. Oh my God. Oh well, my husband always says, why not make 450 of them? Why not spend the next 20 years making them? Teasing me, you know. So that's what we do here. When there's a job to be done, we just knuckle in and just do it, even if it takes longer than we think it will. And that's okay, because we love what we do, right? So that's red shoes. My goal is to finish it by the middle of April. Every week I'll have something finished on it, and I was going to start the needle felting this week, but we have so much on our plate this week, I thought, we'll start it next week, no problem. Okay, and so that's the red shoes, and now we get to work on Baba Yaga. We did lots on her this week. We had a lot of fun. Last week I showed you a little bit of that, but what we have first is the grinding of the leg into the body of the Baba Yaga. And I know I showed you a little demo of it, but I felt like I had to refilm that and really show it. So if we can show that video, there I am. The other thing that happened this week is all 3 GoPros at the same time quit working on time lapse. So that took a day to figure out and readjust. We jumped off this cliff, kids, and now so every once in a while we get a few bumps and bruises on our way down. So there you go. The leg now fits in, and I didn't worry about making it big enough for wire, because when I took a close look at the back of the skull, I saw, I can put wire through that way. So there are holes drilled into the leg. Now we're going to draw on the back of it and the front of it. We're drawing the keyhole, and we're drawing the legs. We're drawing how we're going to carve the legs, and we're going to make them into chicken feet, and that's going to be a lot of fun too, because chicken feet are so interesting, just so interesting. So, and we're, like I said last week, we're going to not go up into that beautiful textured part of the antler. We'll somehow blend them together, the carving. But I thought I cut out more of this drawing than I did. But there we go. Now we grab the drawing tumbler, the straight little tumbler bit, probably a 1.5, and I just start making marks where I want those scales to be. And this week Steffi is all keen to start carving scales for me. And so she'll be coming in tonight and starting to do that. And there we go. Now I had to get the neck going for Baba Yaga's chicken neck. So I took a deer femur, and this actually took more than, this took longer than it looks. At the very end, things get really tricky, but then all of a sudden, boom, it just pops off. There you go. And then we fit in the little neck, and I'm just loving it. I'm just loving it. So maybe now, Jennifer, you can
Main screen?
yeah, do we go back to main screen? And I'm going to show you Baba Yaga's, what we've done, that part. Oh, and the owl skull. So here we go. We have the leg hanging in there. This will get wired into the felt, but I'm also going to be carving, I'm going to be carving the neck as well. So we're not sure, we haven't decided, but this week I'll ask my dreams to tell me, and then this goes like that, and it looks awesome. Doesn't that look like a chicken? Oh my God.
It's like a chicken.
And so we're pretty excited about that. And then what I did, I came in and spent all afternoon making a keyhole for our little buddy. Get really attached to my pieces, especially since they're dolls. So we should show the construction of the keyhole. And we're kind of getting it down now, eh? So there we go. I took some of that oval of material I showed last week, and I cut it up, and I decided I wanted a jaunty swerve to it. So by actually putting it back together kind of backwards, I was able to create this really elegant, I think, elegant shape and fun, and it will have a little bit of organic a feel to it. And you'll see I've marked each piece so that when I go to solder it together, I won't get it backwards. So there, and I want you to know this took me all afternoon to make, but I got it down into I think a 3-minute video. So you're not getting the full meal deal here, but that's okay. If you ever have any questions, I'm happy to answer. This very, very thick material, it took a long time for the solder to melt because that 4mm square wire is thick. But anyways, here we go. And Karen Scarlett is here now, so after we show this video, we're going to chat to her about what she's been up to. You see, I used a piece of the material so I could lay that without it tipping on top of my soldered pieces, measured. I know about how much space I have. Of course, later on you'll see that I kind of boop that up, but that's okay. We're going to be fine. We can make it happen. There's always something that happens. Every time you make something you've never made before, there's always something you don't think about, and that's okay too. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting, and that's what it's all about here. There we go, and then we're going to solder that together. Oh, a little bit of filing, and believe me, there was more than just a few swipes of filing. I mean, to get that fit proper, because you want a nice tight fit. And there you go. That's one of them. Nice. Swoop, swoop, swoop. And you see that one line on the top of that piece? That tells me where the original solder seam was. So then I I'm going to eventually get rid of that, but I don't want that in the middle of the top of the keyhole. So I made a point of drawing that line in there on both sides, so it didn't matter which way I turned it, I would know where that solder seam was. And there we go, boom. That actually took, time because it's a big piece. Okay, here we go. We are back to main screen, and you'll see here's the Baba Yaga, here's the keyhole, and the next video after our interview with Karen, we're going to show you how we shaped it. And then actually cutting out the hole in this piece took a long time. Every time you go to cut a skull, it's different because it depends on the nutrition of that skull, depends on whether it was male or female, all that stuff comes into play. Anyways, here we go. Karen, are you ready to join us here? She's putting on her microphone. Come on in.
I've been dying to get over here.
Oh, I'm so look at you. You look fantastic.
Shona, you might not even recognize me walking down the street because I had to change my hair. I was having the COVID blues.
I love it. Well, here, say hello to everyone out there in YouTube land.
Hello, YouTube land. So awesome. This is wonderful. I love being in here.
Oh, thank you so much for coming today.
Pleasure.
And so I did read most of your bio for people, and I showed some of your images so people kind of understand your background a little. But what we're really excited to learn is what you've been doing with the Calgary Women's Center, because that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I don't even know how big the space is. It's probably 8,000 square feet.
Okay.
Working on. So I've been lucky enough to connect with an organization in town called Calgary Weeds.
Oh, yes, I've
Right?
played music.
Yes, you have. In fact, I think the first time I ever heard you play was at their event for the Little Free Library with Todd Bowles, who came as the announcer.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, I have a picture with him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I actually built the first 5 Calgary Reads Little Free Libraries that they sent out to the community and needed painted.
Okay.
So I met the organizer at farmer's market one day, and we had an instant click, and I get to work with her, but we were also friends, and Stacy is really a wonderful human.
Yeah.
So I lived at the Little Red Reading House last year, which is a big part of their organization, a little tiny house in Inglewood that's full of magic and imagination come to life.
Oh.
And over the last 5 years, probably, Stacy has been more involved in creating reading spots throughout the community. Okay. So I've created a couple at Discovery House, and Cups has an amazingly huge one that has been transformative for their clients.
I bet.
Cups, Children's Cottage has them, Families Matter has one. Who else? Yeah, they're all, Taria, we just did one in their new hub at East Village.
Okay.
That's beautiful. So the Women's Center wanted a reading spot, and we went in, and there's a new executive director. So the first executive director kind of started the organization in a closet and brought it to this space where they have a huge amount of community coming in and volunteers and clients, and they've got a really good group of girls working there. And the new executive director says, I would just love this space to feel like your Little Red Reading House, but I have no idea how to do it, and nobody here has a design background, and we'll take that on. And Stacy says, well, I'd love to do it, but I'm too busy, but Karen has the skills, and so now I'm transforming the whole space.
The whole space, not just the reading. Oh my God!
So the reading place will also be in there, but I'm also, when I walked in, they have all these amazing quilts, right, that speak to community coming together and the thread of life and how you can create beautiful things when you work as a group. And so they were all tacked onto the wall with tacks.
Oh.
So I've taken them all down and I'm framing them so they look like magnificent pieces of art.
Right.
And the whole space will be stylized and curated, and
gonna
makes sense
cry.
for bringing people in.
I'm going to cry. Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, so it's interesting though, because of course there's a small group that are, oh my God, this is so exciting, this is going to be so amazing, and then there's some that are pushing back, and right, change is bad,
You know,
but it's the only thing we can rely on in life, right?
This morning I heard something that made me cry as well. On the way here, I was listening to CBC radio, and they were interviewing a woman who is a new filmmaker. But we know her from other films and shows, which I don't watch because I don't watch CBC, I don't watch TV, but I know of the show she's in.
Yeah, me too. I don't watch TV either.
Yeah, and so she was saying that she made this film about immigration, and she's East Indian background, but she's grew up in Canada and her parents came here. The real, quite a common immigration story, but out of the Sikh community. And so in the film she was showing this guy who wears I forget what they call their turbans, I forget, I'm so bad. Anyways, that he came out in the film as gay, and people were saying you can't do that. That's you don't want to shake feathers. And she said she talked to this her mentor about it, and she said, art. I'm gonna cry. Art trumps all. So if you're not sure if you should do something, but it's part of the art piece, it has to be done. So what you're doing, whether or not it's going to shake some feathers or ruffle some feathers or make people feel uncomfortable, art trumps all.
It's true,
Isn't
right?
that beautiful?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So
you're creating this space, like you're just painting every room. Are you?
Well, right now I've just started painting walls, because there's huge walls. Like excuse me, Sunday we painted a wall that was 40 feet long and 16 feet high.
Oh, wow.
Right, but that was just one of the spots we did. So we did another chunk that was probably another 40 feet by 16 feet high, and then we did another spot in another area. So we're getting like the big blocks of color, and they've got a beautiful logo, and we've taken all the color from their logo.
Right.
For the redesign. But then we'll start doing, it's not going to be like actual crazy murals everywhere. What we're going to do is the whole space will have a stitch line going through it. So it'll be just like a kind of like the dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
Right? But stitching everything in the whole space together.
Together.
Yes. The thread of life.
Yes.
Right? Brings us all together. And then around each of these art pieces, so we've had to staple them to a frame. So let's say they're 20 by 20. Then we're going to paint quirky frames around each one of them.
Nice.
And so they'll become, 30-inch pieces. And I think I have 16 smaller pieces. I have probably 4 that are larger, like 5 feet by 5 feet. And then there's 3 that are huge.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're all going to be put into places of honor.
And the quilt means so much. It
right?
talks about comfort and all those things, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and introducing them to the Gee's Bend women. Do you know about them?
No.
So it's probably the most impoverished place in North America, and it's a group, and it's mostly a black community. And it's Gee's is the name of the actual bend in the river.
Okay.
Where they're at. And these women have always made quilts for their whole community. So they've always come together, and they sing, and they bring food, and they support each other. And if someone's getting married, they get a new quilt by the community. And they've lived on nothing. Like, they have nothing. They live in shacks, just impoverished shacks. Someone from the Museum of Modern Art found out about them. They've got books written about them. The quilts have saved their community. They're highly regarded. They put their quilts out to sale.
At the end of the episode, we should put something in, so if you can.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of books that I'm going to be.
Oh, that
will be there that will speak to community coming together.
Yeah.
Through craft.
Yes,
right?
fine craft. That's what it's all about, craft, eh?
Yeah.
And you talk about how in your childhood your grandmother, your mother, your dad taught you all these skills, so you can build the frames.
Yes.
You can paint the wall. You can sew the quilt.
Well, I think the biggest thing I learned from my grandma is have no fear.
Yes.
Because you can do anything. You
That's
just have
right.
to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And if you make a mistake, you'll figure it out faster.
That's right. We were just talking about that, weren't we, Jennifer? I made so many mistakes because I was so wrapped up in getting the technological part of this going that I just...
Right, you get tight.
well,
right?
I just I didn't give enough thought to the making of the frame for the red shoes, and I made it super complicated. Like, quite often when we design something, you probably know this,
Yeah.
you design something and it's really complicated, but by the time you figured all the tasks and everything, you hone it right down and
Yeah.
simplify.
Well, one of the things I really liked when you first started this, because I've watched all the series. Yeah, oh yeah, I watched everything. Yeah. Is I liked right at I don't know, the second episode or the third episode, you'd made a bunch of stuff and you just ripped it all apart because it wasn't right. Right?
Yes.
And so many people who aren't artists don't get that because they think, oh, you've worked so hard and you've done so much. And it's like, well, our whole lives are about working. Right? Like, making is the everyday.
job.
So if you know it's not right, you have to rip it apart.
That's right.
Right? You can't just finish something that's not right.
That's right.
Right? Because it's not meeting what's in there, the vision, the magic, right?
So keep that in mind when I introduce the pendant next, because it's got changed.
Oh, good. I can see it.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to start from scratch. And Jennifer and I were going, should I just remake the frame? Like, it's going to take me a week to finish it with the design it is now. But I'm so invested. I've made all the parts. So I think I'm just going to bite it and make it. And
Well, or is it better on something else and you just need to do...
where else am I going to use hypodermic needles? 16 hypodermic needles.
Oh, right, those little tiny ones.
You know what? I'm just going to
That's
do it.
awesome.
Sometimes you just have to bite it and finish it, and sometimes you start again.
Yeah. Well, and you know
depends
what?
on what it is.
Maybe someone needs that as a brooch, because a hypodermic needle brooch would be pretty killer too.
16 of them? I don't know. You know, I know that. Anyways, we're here to talk about you today. So what else are you? I guess you're working full time then for the Calgary Women's Centre, right?
Well, I'm doing quite a bit for them. I am missing doing my own stuff.
Yeah.
I have a really exciting festival this weekend that I'm part of. So
What is that?
When I was living in the Little Red Reading House in Inglewood, I was across the street from the Alexander Center Society.
Right.
And so I've become very active with them. And I've been, last year I painted in the springtime a collection of murals that are right on 9th Avenue with an Indigenous and Métis artist.
Okay.
And then later on in the summer, I connected with another guy from the Blackfoot, and him and I created a mural down the side wall. And then together as an organization, we applied for a festival grant. So we're doing a festival this weekend. So I have a little bit of pre-work. We're going to do, it's going to be called a music wall, but it's more of a noisemaker wall. So I have to install some pots and pans and some utensils, and so people can make some music. And we've invited people to bring more of their things from home so we can install on the fence. It'll be a big long fence where you can go along and play it.
Oh, that's
Right,
so
fun.
And where's that happening?
At the Alexander Center. So that fence is going to be in behind.
I live in Ramsey. How come I don't know about this?
Well, because we're just...
I'm so busy
it's
working on this
grassroots,
project.
right? I mean, you got
don't
your head
know.
down.
Yeah.
And then the other fence that's quite ugly along their parking lot down the side, I've included a red river in our murals that are all about the convergence of the elbow and bow and the blood of life. And so we've had those in both the side and the front murals, and I'm going to put that on the fence. So over the next couple days, I'll be yarn bombing. And then we're inviting people to come and write on a heart that we've laminated and tie it to the fence and add some love. Inglewood, Ramsey, East Village, love. So if you can fit in 15 minutes on Saturday.
I could. I can't say why. I'm not going to say on live television why I can't be there. That's just, but I'll let you know later.
Oh, okay. I'll save a heart for you to come do later.
Oh, absolutely. Because my granddaughter Hart is coming to visit me, and she is an amazing artist. Like, this is just a quick sketch of hers. like we have, one of her paintings is front and center in our living room, not because it's our granddaughter's, because it's that
because it's good.
that she did when she was 8.
That's great. Well,
Like,
it's kind of against
amazing.
the law for her to be the granddaughter of you and not be an artist. And then I'm also hoping to do some work with the new IW in Inglewood. I've got a project that's coming up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are just a community activist.
Well, you know
art
what?
activist.
I belong to this group of girls and we were talking about what our thing was, and I do love community, and I love the thing that connects us, and I love the web that we wind together, right? So yeah, I do love community, and I think when we all are more involved in community, we have a much better place to live.
That's right. And what's really interesting is something I've learned because I lost 3 family members in the last couple of years, is that at the very end they reach for something. They're always doing this. And I asked my sister, what do you see there? What are you reaching for? And she said, it's threads. It's the threads. And they're glowing. And I thought, wow, it must be the web of life. At the very end, they draw, like at that point, they're usually quite not like in and out of reality. But it's so exciting because it's good to be conscious of the threads that we're weaving while we're alive.
Yes.
And it became so obvious to me why in so many, there's so many myths about the web and the spiders as the creators of stories, right?
Yes.
And you find that in Aboriginal stories, you find it in Greek myth, and I'm sure you'll find it in Japanese, I'm sure you'll find it in Aboriginal from everywhere. It's universal.
Well, I mean, the reality is too, and the truth about truth and reconciliation is there's story in settler culture, right? Like my mom's side of the family is Russian, my dad's side of the family is very much English, Irish, Scottish. We're totally settler. But in working with Indigenous, there's stories that are back and forth.
Absolutely.
You know?
Where people naturally want to share stories.
And traditions.
And it helps people make sense of what's happening.
Yeah.
And like, you know me, I'm all about the story and also and how it helps adults. It's not about kids anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
kids are good.
Kids are great. They make up their own stories, right?
Yeah.
But at night around the fire, when there wasn't electricity and TVs and radios, even people sat around and told stories.
Yeah.
Kids
Well,
were
and
sleeping.
Knitted and
Put
craft.
their things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made.
Sewed with sinew.
My favorite thing about learning more about the past is that during the winter time, that's what people did. It's cold outside. You want to go outside unless you have chores to do. So
Well, it was dark at 5.
Yeah, it's dark. So what you can just sit around a fire at home and make some warm, snuggle up, and make blankets for each other, and knit socks and mend the clothing, and
the fishing nets and the harnesses.
Well,
for cows.
honestly, my whole family struggles with mental health issues, and if we were watching TV, we knit or we did needlepoint. I remember doing needlepoint when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
My mom, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was after my mom and dad died, I got some of my pictures back that I did with her. You know, my mom was a real maker.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Wonderful.
I don't know what else we can. I know we're going to talk again because you're just so interesting, and also
interesting people always talk.
and you have an exhibition here in September. Yes, and I showed some. I don't know. I left it up to you to do what you want to do, whatever you want to do.
So I think I'm going to have a whole bunch of mediums that I love doing, because I've recently gotten into wood carving, and I need to do something for a little show. But I also do chicken wire sculpture, which you've seen, and I think I want to do a whole bunch of birds. But I also want to do some acrylic and some watercolor and some mixed media and some of my own barnwood framing.
Yeah.
And so I want to have like a total mishmash.
Good. Maybe that's what we'll call it.
Oh.
Karen's Mishmash or something like that.
Yeah, that could be good. That's always good on a blackboard, right?
Yeah. And we do have cases, jewelry cases, that we can put the smaller sculptures in. So just on your way out today, take a good look at the sizes they are and understand that the shelves can come off, but there's, take a look at that and think about it. You can always put work in the glass case.
Very exciting. It's always
So-
exciting to come and see you. And next, I have to go and see Jill Knuckles up at the Craft Council.
Yes, I'm sure.
Because she's made me some felted Cinderella mice and birds for the Women's Center.
Oh.
So the birds are going to be holding ribbon up in the sky, and the mice are going to be climbing up some ladders up high to take their pearls that they have draped over their shoulder and all their things that are helping to make the magic in the space.
Oh, well, I'll try and think of something. Most of my stuff is kind of creepy, so.
Your stuff is not creepy. Your stuff is awesome.
I'm going for creepy.
Okay, it's totally creepy.
But I'll think about it and see what I might have and we can talk about that, something that might work for the Women's Center.
Well, that would be really special.
Oh, for sure. I'd love to. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Again, see, things are getting back to normal. I'm so excited. I've gotten so many hugs this week, and I
Well, I
just
don't
went.
think it's going to be back to normal very soon. I think we're still going to...
Well, that's a pretty normal thing to do. Like, we didn't do that for 2 years.
No, that's
So-
true. I could fill my bucket pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a new thing we're getting back to doing. Anyways, you're
Oh, I'm right out. Oh, here.
yeah, you gotta
Sorry.
get back. Okay, bye-bye,
Bye.
YouTube land.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you in September.
Yeah.
We'll see you
God, that'll come
in
fast, eh?
September.
It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I hear you off camera, and I see you a
Yeah,
little
just
bit on
a
the
little
camera.
And we're going to do a really, for Calgary, for International Women's Day, we're going to present Jennifer's satin suit of armor, but
Yeah.
what's it called?
It's called the Order of the Blue Garter.
Oh my God, it is so funny. So funny.
It's pretty fun.
In this episode?
Yeah, because it's International Women's Day, and we're trying not to make it all about Shona Ray.
Well, it is your show.
It is my show, and it is about my art, but I do want to share what else is going on. And as soon as I saw, Jennifer showed this to Carrie and I after that episode, and I went, oh my God, we've got to show this on International Women's Day. It is hilarious. When you get to see the episode, you'll love it.
Okay.
It's my business card.
Awesome.
And then the episode's live right now, so you could.
It's
hop
all
on
what
and
it's
join
all
us
about
while
here.
we're-
We make connections, right? That's what we do here, my friend.
Thank
It was
you.
Beauty.
nice to meet you.
Thank you. I love your dress. Oh my God. Top. Ooh. Okay, so yeah, let's just finish off Baba Yaga and then do yours. I
Sure.
know
Yeah, no,
I
it's fine.
changed the order of things
I think
here.
we're on keyhole shaping is the next video.
Yeah, and that's it.
Cool.
Keyhole shaping. Let's see how far we get.
Let's do it. All right.
Let's just do it. And there we go. So a little trimming here and there, that takes time, that 4 millimeter square wire to cut, but that's okay. We make it look easy. But I just want to show you the steps, really. That's really what I'm doing. So now we're cutting out, and now we're getting rid of that solder seam there. And now we have a keyhole. And the next thing to do is to just clean it up a little. And of course, I do, like I say, a little bit more filing than that. A little bit of cleaning up. I don't want to remove too much. I want to definitely be able to see the seams again, because I know I'm going to be soldering rivets in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is hammer it. And this is where, silly me, when I hammered it, and I did a lot more hammering, and that's just flattening it again, it stretched. So now instead of being 8 centimeters tall, it's more like 9.5. So that's okay. We had a little bit of room up top. We're making it work. I'm not going to reconstruct it. And this is the shaping. And I'm using the crack of this log I've had since I started making jewelry, and I just love it. And see here, I put that in a bowl shape and tap on the top to flatten out just to shorten it a wee bit. And there, fits like a charm. Of course, it took me about, half an hour to do that, get that really to work. But then I decided where I would put my first rivets. I start with 3 locator rivets. So I drilled 2 there, started with 1, and then the other one I'm just going to do straight on the bone, just holding it. I'm not as nervous, so I can do that. And I'm purposely going at an angle on these holes because it is now at an angle. So, and when I drilled into these, I went, oh my God, that bone is deep. And there was literally smoke from the drill bit. I had to throw that drill bit away. Anyways, I drew it, I carved it out, and believe you me, when I carved this out, it took me probably an hour and a half. It was so strong, that bone, because this is a male, and so he would be using his forehead to bunt and to take blows, and he had extra cartilage right at the crown where the top of his head, which you'll see. I actually ended up having to use my drill as a saw at one point, but here we go. I did this quite a few times before it actually worked, but there you go. I got that piece of bone out, and you'll see there's extra cartilage there, extra bone there to give that forehead strength, and around the nose area and everything. And really, you can see on the video how thick the skull is at the crown of the head. It's just amazing. So that's that for that. How do we go back into the main screen? So now can I, where's my Baba Yaga? Here we are. So now we have this, as you can see, this nice, and we have, where did I put my box with my,
It's behind here.
oh man, I so very, very carefully get all these things. This is the piece of bone I took out yesterday. And this is the keyhole shaped to go with the skull. You can see it's kind of workily, just like the skull. That's a real word. I just made it up. It's a real word, workily.
Putting that in the dictionary.
We will just have to add that to our dictionary. Anyways, super lot of fun. Very excited about this piece. I will be able to use this material at the bottom here. This material is going to be gorgeous in the pendant on the back. So, do I have the eye? Did I keep the eye out?
Is it this one?
Yeah. I also have this. Check that out, kids.
Want to put it on number 2?
Let's put it on number 2.
There.
Check that out.
A little bit.
Whoa, man, I've had this eye. I was telling everyone, tell everybody. I bought that for 50 cents in either late 1995 or early 1996 it was just in a box of 50-cent stones. And I bought it thinking, wow, there's a cool eye. And I was going to put it on the belly of a goddess, but I didn't end up doing that. So I get to use it for Baba Yaga now. And I also have a lot of teeth to put inside. And we're just going to put teeth inside that keyhole. This is going to be a wider, widened out a little bit. So there'll be room for those. I also I dug out a lot of teeth this week. All the weird jawbones that I've got, and I think I have some very cool teeth to use in this piece. So we've got that, and I also found I also found a bag of human teeth. Of course, I have my kids too. Always save my kids' teeth. But these are gold crown teeth. That 2 of them are my dad's, and 1 of them is Herb's. So there you go. I am good for teeth. We may use gold teeth. We don't know yet. And so this week, start carving the legs. Get the keyhole widened out. Get the teeth come to resolution on the teeth, and then and we'll do one thing on the red shoes. Probably finish the hair, and then we're going to start felting the red shoes. So, okay, I think that's very good. Now I want to share. Here, I'm going to put you on the floor, Baba. And so we've talked about today on International Women's Day, the power of the wise old woman in the forest who will either eat you alive or give you a gift. So you better be polite and you better watch your P's and Q's. And then we met the Mint woman, and she works in the community, and she brings comfort to the community. And now we will introduce Jennifer once again. You see her off and on in our episodes. Jennifer Iannis. And who are you? You are such an amazing artist.
Oh, thank
you are. Jennifer has no fear. She just says, I'd like to make that, and she learns how. And but I think you made this piece that we're going to show today in art college.
This is my 3rd year, 2nd semester, I believe, and it was for like my big final project, and I took the whole semester making it. I pulled an all-nighter one time making it.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous,
but it's amazing.
It's fun. And now that I made one, I mean, it had to get retired, you'll see it, but I think I might make another one in the next year or so.
Okay, so she's going to show us, and this is called
The Order of the Blue Garter.
Okay, The Order of the Blue Garter.
Yes.
And
here's some pictures. I went around town and took some pictures with my friend Jen Herring, and this is all made of satin and interfacing leather and the hardware to put it all together, like rivets and stuff. So I went with...
I just love that!
So I did like some feminist stuff where I was modeling
I love this
and cooking.
one.
Yeah,
oh my
really
God.
Good. I love the ironing one. I'm ironing my shield.
Yes.
And then of course I did the Rosie the Riveter. So this was the motto for the Order of the Blue Garter. And they were the only knight order that allowed women to join.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that the women fought, some of them probably did, but they were officially members. So this is what it's been turned into.
And then you can just play it again so we can get another view of it.
See if it plays. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty fun. I don't even remember what it was that I started planning the technique for it. I was just like, I want a suit of armor. I want one, I want to make it, and I need it. And of course I don't know how to do big, large scale metal stuff, and the studio at ACAD is not set up for that. So I found some cool pictures of fabric armor online, and it was cool, but it was all very thin satin that had just been kind of sewn together, and it looked interesting, but it didn't look real.
Right.
So I was like, no, I want it to be as authentic as I can with the tools that I have. So I got this really thick interfacing from the fabric store.
It's good.
It's
I love it.
It's outside the church downtown on the main train line. If you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
That big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful church.
Right.
So yeah, went out there with a friend, and we took pictures in front of the statues across the way too, with the suffrage women,
right,
which was really fun.
Oh, very, yes,
and
very.
then I also took a picture in front of the Robert Burns. No, it was Robert the Bruce, I think.
Okay.
Yes, there's a statue outside ACAD. The guy, big
Right.
guy, knight on a horse. You can't miss it.
It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. All these people, like, what had that got anything to do with ACAD? Nothing. They didn't know where to put it, so they stuck it there.
It's looking over the city. But I mean, there's a Scottish community in Calgary, and they had the same statue, I think, is also in Scotland. And it's Robert the Bruce, the King of Scotland, who defended against invaders.
Okay.
And so that's the story of Robert the Bruce.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know.
And so I wanted to be the woman defending against all things feminist.
And when I saw pictures of your face in Rosie the Riveter, I didn't even recognize you at first.
Oh.
I thought, she must have got some. And then I looked at it again and I went, oh my God, that's Jennifer.
That's baby
piece,
Jen in art school.
Yeah. But then you took that, you said the piece had just kind of...
Yeah, it was starting to fall apart, and I mean, my skills have gotten better since then, and so every time I looked at it, I was like, nah, I can do better than that, and I didn't want to wear it anymore because it was kind of done. So I took all the pieces that I imagined would go together, and I just put them all on the floor after I took all the rivets apart, and I took all the leather pieces off and flattened everything out, and then I was like, okay, these kind of go together, and cut some stuff up and re-riveted it all and sewn it together.
And just created this beautiful form.
It's like a hanging thing. I don't know.
Sculpture.
Yeah, it's a sculpture. And so I just kind of took what was left over from it, and then you can see the gloves on the front kind of are like this, and then that V shape on the front is the shoes.
Oh,
the little pointed armored shoes. So that was pretty fun.
I
still have the helmet is intact at home. It's on a little foam head on top of a shelf. So I kept the helmet, and I kept the sword and the shield. And then there's some other pieces.
And what's
that
the sword made out of?
Same stuff. I just
wow!
glued it together.
Oh my God! I thought it was a real sword.
No, I made that out of the same stuff.
Oh, that's so cool!
And then I put leather around the handle. I took a hanger, a clothes hanger, stretched that out to make a armature in the middle so that it wouldn't just like bend.
Floop, floop, floop.
It's hanging on my wall. I have a medieval shrine at home and above the fireplace where I've got some brass rubbings that I've gotten from secondhand places. I've got a big crest that I found at the thrift store, which was pretty fun, and then I've got my 2 swords on the side.
Nice.
It's pretty fun.
Very nice.
Yeah,
good for you. Well, there you go.
Feminist
Empowering women through fine art and craft.
And so I think the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to, after I go to Scotland, I'm going to come back and make a floral pattern based on the work that I do there. And then I'm going to silkscreen it in Natalie Gerber's studio, and I'm going to turn that into another suit of armor.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be good.
And you'll have to do a performance at C-Space.
Absolutely.
And we'll film it because we can. So, you know what? I think that's it. I think that's all we have to say today. We don't need to go on and on. We are starting to get a handle on the technological aspects of this, but
before we finish up, you had a couple comments.
Oh, did I?
I wanted to talk about. So we had Susanna Windrum that was on, and she helped us with a technical issue.
She did.
There was a small technical issue. So she alerted us to that, which was good. So thank you, Susanna. And then we also had Raven Art.
Oh, thanks, Raven.
And she says, hey, Shona, so great to be here with you. And then later, happy Women's Day to an awesome woman and all the other awesome women you're sharing with us. Very inspiring.
Oh, nice. Oh, thanks for watching, guys. And, of course, we'll put this out on the real YouTube. I don't know. We'll put it out, and so people can watch it. They all get included. If they're not in with the edited ones, then they're in with the live ones. You can watch them. I haven't edited them all. Jennifer's going to actually show me how to use the YouTube editing suite, because the big one I'm using, it takes like an hour to download it afterwards. So, because it's such a big file. So if we can get that going, and she's going to teach me about Instagram today a little bit more, because I'm just learning all this new stuff as I fall down the cliff, kids. And you know what? it's for art. So there we go. We'll do whatever it takes, and that's kind of how we roll around here. Whatever it takes to make the piece right, whatever it takes to make the space feel comfortable, and whatever it takes to make this YouTube channel work. That's what we're doing these days. So I want to thank CADA for making this possible, the Calgary Arts Development Association. I'd also like to thank Ron Chikora for his technical assistance in setting it up. Camera Store, I'll be back. I know I need more stuff. Little fantasies going off here. And I would like to thank all the tenants here at C-Space because they just make it such a joy to be here. And I'd like to thank Jennifer.
Thank you.
And my studio mates, Cindy Lee and Cherry Deacon. And always, I want to say thank you to Herb for making my dreams come true.
And before we sign off, we have that video of Kathy's work, if you'd like to end with that.
Oh, right. I knew there was one more thing. Okay, let's sign off with a video of Kathy's work. Oh, my God. This woman just walked into my studio about not even a month ago. And as she was leaving, she showed me this work she was doing. And I went, do you want an exhibition? And she kind of was startled because she's an emerging artist, and
Little
amazing
collages.
surreal pieces, just amazing. And all the images, every single image she uses, background, foreground, is all taken by her. Every single image from all over the world, from the Sahara Desert,
The elephants.
Mozambique, to the Calgary Zoo, to down, like she's a big traveler, and a very funny woman with an amazing sense of composition. Like I said, she's an emerging artist. She's never studied art, but you know what? You don't always have to.
Yeah.
You can just be that good. So, okay, so off we go then. Thank you. She's coming. Oh, I should mention that we're not going to be, there will be no live stream next week. We're going to start doing them every second week because we don't want Shona Ray to have a nervous breakdown, and things were getting a little bit out of control here because, you know, all of a sudden my GoPros, all three, stopped working last week. And then yesterday, my laptop did. You know, it seems like you just get one thing figured out and then something else goes wrong. And that's the age of technology. You know what? My hammer never stops being a hammer. My saw never stops being a saw. I know that needle will go through fabric. But when you pick up your cell phone, when you start playing around with this technology, that's kind of the two-edged sword part of it.
Anything could happen.
Anything can happen. And for a few days, my GoPros, thanks to a firmware issue with GoPro that I'm sure they're busily working on, I didn't have use of them. So we're just we'll be back on March 22nd, and we'll have lots of good news for you, and we'll be sharing some very interesting people with you. And I think I need my hair cut in the meantime, don't I? Okay, thank you. I love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Happy International Women's Day. People, we should have a People Day.